Hey guys, it's TFNut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Aniplex Plus BUZZmod 1/12 scale Gurren Lagann Yoko Littner action figure. Very excited to finally have this in hand. I talked about this last year when I reviewed Kami. That was almost a year ago actually. But this was the second figure that they've shown off and have so far have released. We don't have anything regarding Simon yet. I knew that this was going to happen because Aniplex is notorious with the BUZZmod line, not completing lines unless it's like Demon Slayer, since that sells like crazy. But I'm really holding out hope that we will eventually get a Simon. But for now, the last figure that they've announced and released is Yoko here. Very cool though, arguably probably one of the most recognizable characters from Gurren Lagann. So let's just go ahead, take a look at the box here. The lights are kind of getting in the way of this, so I do apologize. But we do have Aniplex as well as the Gurren Lagann logo BUZZmod 1/12 scale Yoko right there. You do also see the figure right there in the box, as well as all the accessories, or almost all the accessories. Some of them are being covered up. Over on the left there, you do see where it says, if I can focus up, 1/12 scale figure BUZZmod Gurren Lagann Yoko. There is an image of Yoko right there. Really nice pink accents pretty much throughout the whole box. It's a lot of black, but then a little bit of like pink dots, and then just pink parts of the background. On this side, I think it's going to be the same on the other side. I'll check in a second, but that is the Gurren Lagann logo right there, as well as BUZZmod. A little bit of some pink for the design. The rest of this is just a black section on the box. Yeah, so they pretty much continue that pink section on top. That's really the only difference. On top of the box right here, it does say BUZZmod again, and all that stuff we saw on the front. These like grayish, almost black accents right there. There's a little arrow right there for you to open right there. And then pretty much the same thing here. If I get this dust off, you do see BUZZmod again. So these sides, the sides of the packaging aren't great. Not much going on there, but the front and the back of the packaging is pretty spectacular. Again, I'm going to have to lean this forward a little bit. Lots of different posing you can get Yoko into. Everything looks really nice here with all those different accessories. A lot of these were the promotional images when they were dropping the pre-orders. So a lot of stuff right there. A lot of stuff I can't read, unfortunately. And you're not going to find this in any stores. But you know what? I do it with almost every review. So there's a barcode in case you need it right there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Here is the figure out of the packaging. I haven't gotten a chance to pose this around too much, but this is a really nicely done figure. It looks like it came right out of the anime. I'm still needing to get through the accessories, so we'll take a look at those in just a little bit. The first thing I do want to show off, just like with the Kamina review, depending on where you pre-ordered this, which I got it from Nin-Nin Game, this is a Shikishi, a 15th anniversary special one with BUZZmod here in this artwork of Yoko. I cannot explain this to family when they come over. I'm absolutely cooked if I try to. But this, honestly, jokes aside, this is a really nice piece of art. I can't wait to get this and the Kamina one framed eventually. This is why I really hope we get a Simon in the future. Let's go ahead and move on to the accessories. First thing I want to talk about is some of these pieces of paper we get. I believe this is like a warning or like a choking hazard. Not entirely sure. But this here is definitely an instruction manual. I have no idea what any of this says, unfortunately. But basically, by these images, you can tell, be careful with how some of the paint might rub off, how to interchange some things, how to interchange some body parts, as well as just be careful with certain sections. I'm pretty sure that's what all that says. So the first thing I want to take a look at are the faces. So these faces look really nicely done, if I can focus up here. I really dig this expression here where she's looking to the left, and you get a little bit of a smile here. I do like the, it's pretty simple, but the mouth color is pretty nice. Same thing with the color in the eyebrows. A little simple, but still really nice looking. The eyeliner looks cool, and the pupils, the way that the light hits that, the way that they painted that looks really good. And the different colors in there too. Really nice clean white eyes too. And I feel like these ears aren't that greatly sculpted, but I don't really care about that too much. And then popping off the faces, as well as this, the spare headpiece we'll get, and I'll talk about that in a second. Just pop this off and then pop that face off. It's rather simple. I'll take too much time if I do it right now, unfortunately. Next, I want to show off the smiling open mouth expression, where it seems like she's also talking, looking straight forward. Again, those eyes look great. And I think that the way that they did the mouth is pretty nice. Now, this is a little distracting. Once you pop this on, it's really not that bad. And the separation of the teeth, tongue, and like the red in there looks pretty fantastic. next thing I want to talk about is her basically hitting the rock pose. Like, this is really all I can describe it as, but this is her seemingly a little bit annoyed. So one thing I want to mention, I don't know if this is like this on, like in the show, some extra white or red lines right here. I don't know if those are supposed to be there, but we get that on here too. That just doesn't look right to me. See how that right or left eyebrow is done? I could be wrong, because you see how both of these are done, but I'll go on with how the rest of this looks. You have a little bit of blush going on here, and the way that the eyebrows are bent, and like the eye too is bent. A little bit of the lips slightly puckered, I guess. Look really good, and again, we have this screaming action pose expression going on here. Again, the color separation of the mouth is really good, and then I have to look at some images in a second. But you know, I just don't know if this looks right. And if there are promo images with that on there, then there's nothing to complain about. Now on to the hands. So she comes packaged with just a normal smile as well as relaxed hands. So I did want to talk about just one gun holding hand here. Looking really nice. Looks like there's a little bit of some specks going on in the inside of the palm there. But the back of the hand, if I get my fat finger out of there, a little bit of black onto the back of the hand there with the exposed skin. Really nothing to write home about. And then, yeah, I think the rest of this looks fine. It's very simple and detailed, just two types of colors of paint. And then they sculpted these rather nicely. Again, she has relaxed hands, and these are more expressive, sprawled finger hands here. These also look really good. I think there's a little bit of excess plastic on here. Again, paint apps can be a little bit better, but these are pretty small sections of plastic to paint, so I'm not going to get too mad about that. Last but certainly not least, we also have some fists here. Again, actually these might be the best out of all of them when it comes to paint apps. A little bit of skin tone in the palm where the black is once again, but nothing too bad. We also do have this alternate face piece here, this hair piece really. It's almost I'm pretty sure it's almost the exact same sculpt wise. Yeah, this time they just added a orange visor piece. So you see how that is ported into the plastic right there and glued in. This looks really cool. I haven't tried this out. You can see the eyes. Really nice. And I'll go over how this looks in the images towards the end of the review. But also, I do think that little skull icon or whatever on her hair is looking really nice. The red, all the strands on there look really good. Okay, let's be mature in the comments, shall we? We do have alternate chest pieces here. There is a function to this. So, as you can see, it's a little bit wider spread here. This is a little bit closer together on the right. That way you can actually do two-handed rifle holding poses. Just straight up, I gotta say it as it is. These do get in the way, you know, the ones that she comes packaged with. So these coming with that, I think that's gonna help if you want to do two-handed poses. They will get in the way, unfortunately, when you're just trying to use those. Okay, so we also have this rifle right here. The signature rifle she has. This is sick. Really digging this here. Be careful. This does separate. It's supposed to. Getting it in. This is a really thin peg right there. And then this also separates here. The purpose of that is to bring in the straps. And I have no idea how to exactly orient some of these. Like if it's supposed to be like this or if it's supposed to be like that. The instructions aren't super clear about it. So really just do what you want, I guess. However, whatever works. We'll look at those straps in a second. But look at the barrel right there. That is fantastic. The exhaust coming out of there, or just this exhaust here. I don't know what I was trying to say. These little stripes painted on there. You know, it's a little messy because of the seam line there, but it's not too bad. All of this is in this nice bluish gray plastic. Different types of settings for the scope there. And then I think it's like almost a translucent greenish paint going on there on both sides. You do also have this come out. I thought it said it came out. No, this separates. There is no removable ammo. It's whatever. This is where the ammo is actually. I don't know what I was thinking. This also doesn't move and it's not removable and there's nothing to interchange. So by all means, don't mess around with this too much. But this is a really fantastic looking rifle. I like the little hazmat yellow and black going on there. Or warning, caution, whatever. Looking really sick. And we do also have this alternate barrel. And be careful with this. where these exhaust pieces have these effects pieces coming out. This is sick. It's kind of like if you have like Marvel Legends Iron Man stuff where it's like white frosted plastic here and has a little bit of translucent blue. All of that and all this too. This doesn't come out anyway, so you wouldn't really want it to. But all of this looks really fantastic. Last but not least, once again, different types of straps. This one's a little bit more relaxed, so we can go around her shoulders. We have some nice silver buckles. Really nice pink paint here. They don't continue the detailing on the back, unfortunately, but it's going to be covered, on her body, so it doesn't really matter. And then you do have these little loop sections right there. And this is a soft plastic. This is way more straight, so when she's holding it or the rifle's in upright pose and she's not wearing it or anything. This, again, very similar approach. Nothing really on the inside there when it comes to detail, but really nice separation of the silver with the pink. That is not easy to do, and it even looks like it's being lifted up a little bit, how these look. Really digging that. I'm going to go ahead and throw up an image of when you have the rifle with the effects piece as well as one of the strap pieces on there. All that works really well. It's really easy to interchange stuff, but again, just be careful in case you get a little too trigger happy, pun intended, and mess around with it and things might break on accident. So I want to start off this section by saying I don't have the Rebel Tech one that came out, I want to say like almost a decade ago at this point. I could be wrong, but it definitely came out a long time ago. So I don't have that to do a proper comparison with this new one, unfortunately. I will bring out last year's BUZZmod Kamina, though. This was always a really nice figure, very anime accurate in certain ways. I think in this particular face, it's kind of off, just ever so slightly. But still a very anime accurate looking figure. But this Yoko is even more so anime accurate. Like, this looks like it came right out of the Gainax animation. This is such a nice looking figure. They detailed her, just got all the details really nicely done, very accurate looking. Just like the other faces, I really like how they did the printing on the eyes, especially like the pupils and the eyeliner there. And some areas are a little simple, but it's supposed to be like the eyebrows and the mouth paint there, but it's still just a really nice looking face sculpt, the default face sculpt. And then you do also have, this like front hair piece, very similar to the alternate hair piece with, this one, of course, without the sunglasses. And then we have this little, I don't know what, it's like a hair piece, whatever, this little skull thing. But we do have a little crack sculpted in there, as well as white and black paint. That all is very clean. I will say that this is a little too easier to pop out now. I didn't say that correctly. It's a little too easy to pop off now that I've done it like once or twice, so just be careful with that. It's not gonna, if I shake it, it's not gonna pop out or anything. But the strands on the hair look really nice. Her bangs look really good. You also have these like side bang pieces that are softer plastic. If you move them around too much, they probably will break, so be careful. We also have these, I actually don't know what these would exactly be called, but these little hair stick pieces, I'm sorry, don't know what they're called. They are pretty soft, gummy plastic. I do feel like these can rip off if you're not too careful, but the gold paint on here actually is pretty nice looking. And then very subtle details of the hair being stretched, as you see here with those creases. Really digging that. You also have this very long ponytail going on here, which has a really nice sculpting. It's a little wavy, so it's stuck in this pose, but I think it's pretty neutral enough. It's pretty wavy throughout the whole anime, even when she's standing, so this isn't too, big of a deal. I think this is fine compared to it just being like a flat posed, just going straight down type of ponytail. And we'll talk about articulation in a second, but it is on a ball joint here, this little peg system. It's a little apparent, but it's really not too bad. And again, some of those other details I want to show off right here. The scarf is pretty nice too. This is removable. I will show off an image in a second, but I, based on the images I've seen, I believe you have to orient this to where the sculpted line right here is facing out. So there's that. There is sculpted separation where you see that red as well as that pink and white every time. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I put my fingernail on there and I can feel that. I think that, I don't know what plastic color this is molded into. I think pink. So I think the white is starting to look a little bit pink, or maybe the red is looking a little pinkish, but it's really not that big of a deal if there are any paint mishaps here. This is another area of me just saying it like it is. We do have, sculpted details where the red meets the black. You see the sculpting right there? It is actually missed a little bit. So the idea, I guess, is, where that sculpting ends, the red needs to go there. So you can see it's not fully there. But with this right here, this actually, my hand's a little shaky for some reason. We do have it right here where it's going off a little bit. And there's really nothing that bad about it. It's not too bad of mishapped paint or anything. And then I do also want to show off, when you move this around, it does get a little bit too gappy. So just be aware of that when you're articulating this or have to interchange those chest pieces. There is sculpted separation with that black part of the top, as well as all the way around here. Really nice sculpting and really nice paint work with the tie going all the way to her back, because that is not easy to paint up. We do have a little bit of an SH Figure Arts Sakura situation, just a little bit. Definitely not as bad as that, but you can see those pegs for the the articulation when this is moved around a little bit. This covers it up a little bit more. I will say I was moving the arms around a little bit on this one, and it does seem like the articulation, that little peg wants to separate, and I can push that back in if I'm careful enough. But we'll get into that. But that's a little bit of a problem if that somehow breaks or it just keeps getting separated. There's not much really to talk about when in terms of other areas of skin tone. It's all just like a smooth sculpt. We do have this elbow piece that's a little bit too circular right there. It's not too bad. I mean, this is an articulated action figure, so they gotta do it. Belly button also sculpted in there. We do also have these bracelet pieces. They are pretty loose. I guess you could also pop these off if you wanted to. I haven't done that yet, so don't entirely take my word for it, but I can only assume so. A nice black, almost black actually. It's a very dark bluish black almost, but whatever that paint is, really nice. And then you have the gold on there. And then these relaxed hands, you see how that looks with all of that. The palm right there. And then this one here, more exposed here, and then you have more of this covered up here. And there's actually sculpted separation right there for that too. And so you have the, again, that palm right there, but this is pretty much the exact same little bracelet piece on the other side. You have this separate belt piece that will move around very easily, and I believe the instruction said that this can scuff the paint, so be careful. But the silver paint on here, it's a little bit of splotching in some areas, but these little studs, whatever they are, they're all so close to each other in the sculpt that you can't really tell too much. Maybe like this one right here. But that belt piece is also really nice. And you have, again, this like bluish black top part right there. And all of that is supposed to make it look seamless with how her shorts are done. And then we get to something really interesting, because they like to throw in a lot of soft goods with their BUZZmod figures. We had a cape for Kamina, and we have actual cloth stockings for her here. They could have easily just made these sculpted. This is probably why the price was jacked up a little bit, because these are a fabric piece right here. You can move these down a little bit. You see some of that articulation right there. They can bunch up and wrinkle if you're not too careful, but like a little bit of excess fabric, not too bad. Man, that is really nicely done. With this though, and again, we'll talk about articulation in a second, these areas are a little bit loose because of that, so I'm wondering how that's going to hold up over time. The sculpting on the boots are fantastic though. The way that it's a little bit unzipped, as well as that large zipper right there, looks really sick. Some detailing right here on the front of the boot, and a little bit on the back too, like up there. Going the seam line of the boot all the way down. Very nice glossy white going on here. And there is, again, separation where the fire detail here for the red meets the white. And it's actually a little bit, there's only very minor areas where it's missed. Not as bad as like the top, I would say. But that looks fantastic. That's what the back of the boots look like. Because of, she's wearing high heels, it's a little bit harder for her to stand, but not impossible. That's what the bottom of that looks like. So, yeah, they really captured Yoko very well here. In terms of actual engineering in the articulation, some of it's a little basic, and some of it's covered, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But it still has a really good range of motion in a lot of places. So first of all, ball joint up here, it swivels no problem. It's not too loose, actually. It can pivot a little bit like this and go up and down a little bit. That's a really nicely done ball joint. So this being a little bit exposed, that's a fine trade-off with me. Then we do get to where you see a joint in here. So there's a ball joint going to the head, and you have a hinge there, and then you also have that neck joint right there. So yeah, that does, it is a little choppy in terms of the engineering there, but the scarf will cover that unless you take that off. So up and down, side to side, rotation, all that is actually pretty nicely done. We do have forward and back movement here. That's actually going to be separated soon. So I'm going to do it here. I think it's actually a swivel. I don't know if there's any type of ball joint to make this a butterfly joint. But you do have this little bit of swivel right here, and then it can go out pretty far at that elbow. All the way around here, really no problem with that. And then this actually has a ball joint here, so it can separate like this if you need to. Single joint elbow, and it does swivel at the elbow as well. I'm going to have to figure this out. Yeah, so you can also swivel it at the forearm, I believe. Actually, not really. But that bend is actually pretty nicely done, even though it's a single joint. And then we do have import type wrists where, you know, ball joints hinge a little bit. Actually, yeah, so the back is fine. And then you can go up and down if you want to as well. And the swivels here at the hand. Okay, again, we do have actually a ball joint here at the chest. It's a little bit hard to move it. It's not going to be super duper articulated. It can move around just a little bit. So there you go. And that's what it's going to be like for the other chest as well. You know, that alternate piece. And then, gosh, I'm having trouble. Okay, so this does budge at the stomach right there. A little bit back. Forward's not great. Side to side, I can't really do that well. But you do get a swivel that's a little bit tight. And you do have a ball joint here as well at the stomach. Well, you know, towards the shorts, I should say. All that combined is actually not that great. Yeah, I wish it was a little bit better there. You do have back that doesn't want to move back too much, but the forward also is kind of, is it because of this soft plastic piece? Probably. Doesn't want to move forward too much, and then you might scuff that if you're not too careful. Skin tone tends to do that. I can kind of do a thigh swivel in here, and then splits are really not that existent. We did see a thigh swivel right here. Push this back up, and you do also get, I think that's a double jointed knee. It looks like it. Ball joint in here, I think it swivels, or there's just some loose space in there, but it definitely swivels. So you can see all that. Down, up. The up's not great. There's clearly an ankle swivel here. I don't know why I didn't mention it, though. You have an ankle rocker right there, and then a toe hinge. So the articulation and range of motion could definitely be better. Since this is a 1/12 scale figure, it's going to be a little bit out of scale with other Japanese anime import figures like SH Figuarts and Figma. First of all, this is going to be a little bit over 14 centimeters. So that is going to make this around just a little bit over 5.5 inches there. It's going to be a little bit shorter than Kamina, which is pretty accurate in terms of how they are exactly stacked here, as you see. It is going to be taller than a Figma Kill Mako right there, since Figma are shorter. But yeah, the Gallo Timos from Promir, that Figma is pretty tall. And then SH Figuarts Yuta is going to be a little bit taller. Overall, this is a really fantastic figure. I am very happy with it. It looks like it came right out of the anime. It is very accurate, and I think that they did a little bit of a better job than the Kamina one, and I thought that was pretty accurate too. I do think one of the biggest issues here is articulation, at least the range of motion, especially in the torso and some parts of the feet, as well as a little bit in the arms, could be better. But I do think other areas, especially like the ponytail, is actually working really nice. I thought that wouldn't be that good. Other parts of the articulation are still pretty good. Not that many paint app issues, except for maybe on a couple of the faces. I still haven't checked if those are accurate at all. But a little bit in areas where like the flame details meet, you know, the clothing. It's really not that big of a deal though. This just is such a nicely detailed piece. I think that the soft goods for her stockings are really nicely done as well. All those different accessories, including the faces, the hands, you know, the sniper or railgun, whatever that is exactly. Just all the extra stuff you get here is just really fantastic. It's such a nice piece here. It is pretty expensive. It's going to be a little bit over $100 if you get it on places like Nin-Nin Game or Hobby Genki, if they're even available there. Even more so on domestic websites like Big Bad Twister, if they're even going to have that at all. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I will see you guys later.